Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. It is Dr. Durst. I am a traditionally trained physician that specializes in regenerative medicine with a focus in sexual medicine. And today I want to talk about the natural ways and the top ways that you can increase your testosterone naturally, that you can do to increase your testosterone. So what is low testosterone? So that is really considered hypogonadism, which means that your gonads, whether it be testicles or ovaries, are not producing as much testosterone. And yes, testosterone is produced in women. It's the most abundant circulating hormone in a woman's body when it's compared in the right concentration to estrogen. It's the most abundant circulating. So this information can apply to women too, but most of the studies are in men. So what is the prevalence? About 45% of men have low testosterone at the age of 40. About 40% of men that present to the primary care doctor's office have low testosterone. But it usually is underreported, and it does go up with age. It goes up with obesity, and if you have any insulin resistance, pre-diabetic or diabetic state or condition, then it can also increase with that. So basically, the prevalence is high and it's underreported. What does that mean? What does low testosterone actually cause symptom-wise? Because hypogonadism, low testosterone, also has to have some symptoms with it. So the symptoms you might feel are that you just don't feel like yourself. It is a life force for men and for women. So you might not feel the same, might not have that competitive edge, just don't feel right, don't feel like yourself. But you can also have brain fog. You can have low energy, low libido. You can actually have erection changes or sexual dysfunction for women, weight gain, body composition changes. But some of the things you don't necessarily think about a lot are sleep and mood. So those are two things that could potentially be a low testosterone. So lots of good reasons, lots of reasons for feeling better that you would want to get that testosterone up. And so we'll talk about how you can do that. But before we do, I want you to think about all the behind the scenes things that low testosterone can put you at risk for. So brain disorders, cardiovascular disorders, bone loss, all risk mortality. So all cause mortality, can go up if you have low testosterone. So there's lots of reasons why we want to try and boost that. And it's a comprehensive approach. So what is the number one way is weight loss. So if you think about your fat cells, they have an enzyme that converts testosterone, which is much wanted, into estrogen. And so there was a study with pre-diabetic men, middle-aged, overweight, average age was 54, and guess what? There was 900 of them, but if they lost weight, they decreased or delayed or prevented their onset of diabetes, and these were pre-diabetic men, but they also decreased the prevalence of low testosterone by 50%. The average weight loss was 17 pounds, so not an excessive amount of weight to lose. So if you could prevent your onset of diabetes and you could also increase your testosterone, it is a win-win. And guess what? Those obese men and the pre-diabetic, and it is shown that if you have prediabetes or diabetes, you have an increased risk of low testosterone. The prevalence was super high, 1 out of 4. So very high, but that lifestyle intervention of weight loss really made a difference. The second way is to improve nutrition. Some of the things you think about, cholesterol goes to DHEA, which goes to form sex hormones, and so testosterone, estrogen, and what we're talking about today is testosterone, or it can go to form cortisol. So if you think about stress, which we'll get into after, if it's going to form cortisol and you're stressed and that stress is excessive or prolonged, then you're going to make less sex hormones. So, but if you think about it, cholesterol is a fat. So just from a logical perspective, you don't want a low fat diet. You want healthy fats to increase your testosterone. You want lean protein. So if you think about just healthy foods, but a low carb, high protein is actually shown to decrease your testosterone. The bottom line is a balanced diet with healthy food, stay in the perimeter of the grocery store, no processed foods. And so you want healthy fats, lean proteins, and don't go too low on your carbs or too high on your protein. And so fitness, that's the next thing. So let's get active. What is shown to improve your testosterone levels is moderate amount of exercise, aerobic exercise. So if you're doing endurance exercise, but excessive amounts, so long distance marathons might actually be too stressful on the body and lower your testosterone. So a moderate amount of endurance exercise or HIIT. And there was a study that showed resistance training across the board, all ages, increased your testosterone. So HIIT workouts where you're increasing that heart rate, letting it come back down, that's great for heart rate variability as well, which is a longevity marker. And so it helps bring your testosterone up too. And then also add in some resistance training. So as we get older, resistance training is super important, building that muscle, and that muscle is a reservoir if you just think about that for testosterone. And so you really want to build muscle as we get older. So light exposure, that's one of them that, again, a lot of people kind of talk about sleep, and sleep deprivation doesn't necessarily, you want healthy sleep, obviously, because it's stressful if you don't. But I did look, there's a study in 2003, and I know that Huberman talks about light exposure in the morning as well. But there's a study in 2003, if you had light exposure to natural sunlight between 5 and 6 a.m., that it can increase your testosterone. So pretty important, less about the sleep duration, but more about that light exposure in the morning and increasing your dopamine. And if you increase your dopamine, that correlates with an increased testosterone. But it comes to next, breathing. So there's lots of talk about nasal breathing and how healthy it can be and how it increases your oxygen, decreases your CO2. But I think the important thing is that it decreases your cortisol, which is your stress hormone. And as we talked about, that will divert your sex hormone production into cortisol. So that lowers testosterone. So anything such as breathing and meditation, prolonged exhalation, where you're taking a longer breath in, a shorter breath in, not shorter, but like maybe count to 4 in, and you're going to 6 seconds or 8 seconds out. That increases your parasympathetic tone. That increases or decreases your cortisol and therefore increases your testosterone. So breathing is important. Nasal breathing, meditation, lowers your stress, which is the next one. So you want to maintain adequate stress. You do not want to be stressed for too long a period of time. So meditation helps with that as we get older. So think about that breathing. If you're focusing in on the breath, you're not letting the breath control you. You're controlling the breath. You're increasing your parasympathetic tone, decreasing your cortisol, increasing your testosterone. It's a win-win all across the board for health. So limiting toxic exposure. So if you just think about all the plastics and the endocrine disrupting chemicals that are there, if you think about endocrine as hormone disrupting chemicals, it just means it interrupts your hormone production in the body. So limit your plastics, don't heat up things in plastics, use glass. That's a safer or BPA free plastics. But if you can just take a water bottle, make a glass, anything but plastics is helpful, because then you're just not going to make hormones. Lots of supplements that can increase your testosterone. So D3, there's a study that shows at least 3,000 a day would increase your testosterone by 25%. And we usually keep levels around 80 to 100. We follow that in our patients. Creatine has some study support for increasing testosterone, but really if you just think about it, building muscle, and if you're building more muscle, you're metabolizing faster, you're losing weight. So it all kind of logically makes sense, but creatine is primarily for muscle building, ATP production, and so better workouts. Magnesium and zinc, and if you think about some foods that have all of that, leafy greens, and you have beets, and you have legumes, and you have nuts, and just those healthy fats, avocados and olive oil, you're going to get some magnesium and zinc in a lot of the foods that you eat, and both of those can increase your testosterone. Ashwagandha has some study support showing increase, but they're kind of mixed. Tongkat Ali is one that can increase your testosterone, and in the studies it shows about 90% of men had an increase in testosterone if they were taking 200 milligrams a day. And not only did it increase your testosterone, but it improved sexual function, and it also decreased stress. So it's a win-win all the way around. I'll do another video on that. But one of the supplements that, again, I heard Huberman talking about first, and I think it was Huberman and Rogan together, was Fidocia agrestis, and I hadn't heard of that one yet. So I am going to deep dive into that one a little more, and I'll do a video. It is a supplement, maybe with Tongkat Ali, that increases your testosterone. I haven't seen that study yet, but what I have seen was based on rats. And so I just want to see if there's been anything that has been applied to humans, and then also if there's anything with dosing, so that I can deep dive into that a little better on a future video. So think about foods that are healthy across the board, perimeter of the store, lean proteins, healthy fats, nuts, seeds, leafy vegetables, leafy greens. Beets will increase nitric oxide, which is always good for muscle building and better blood flow to all the things. But one of the most important things that you need to think about increasing your testosterone, it's probably something I'm always a proponent of, is have more sex. Because if you don't use it, you lose it. That is actually true. So that you will have more hormone production if you're having more sex. So just keep that in mind too. So there are so many things that you can do to increase your testosterone naturally. Let me know if you've tried some things, you've had some great results, anything that I haven't mentioned. I want to hear your experience and let me know what you think, and leave comments on other things you want to hear about, because I'm willing to deep dive into anything wellness or sexual wellness. Thank you.